put him on his back. Thurston, right foot kick, down the ground, into the in goal almost. Hodgson cuts it off. Hodgson taken by Norton. He took him late. Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside. Richards pursued. He pushes Johnson away.
Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday, the 24th of February, 2026. You're back for another episode of the Tiger Town podcast with your hosts, Zach and Toby. Zach at this end, Toby at the other. Brought to you, as always, by Best on Ground Digital. Best on Ground Digital, the digital marketing agency that looks after the little guy that will not steer you wrong. bestongrounddigital.com. And speaking of not steering us wrong, West Tigers pre-season form, my friend, 2-0. That sounds nice.
Third on the ladder. Is that a premonition?
No.
Fuck.
Well, put it this way. If Parramatta, the Titans, and us finish 1, 2, 3 at the end of the year, something's gone rather awry.
Yeah.
But anyway, pretty good performance, mate.
Happened.
Yeah. Before we jump into all that, how are you travelling? Travelling all right?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. I had my youngest birthday party on the weekend, so it was a 3-year-old birthday party. So that was just a lot of bubbles and princesses and fairies and all that jazz.
I think that sums it up pretty well, bubbles and princesses.
Yeah. That's basically it. That's
especially
all
with
it
the
is.
girls.
Especially for girls.
Hmm.
No West Tigers decorations, unfortunately. I haven't brainwashed her quite like I've brainwashed my oldest yet.
I'll give it time.
Yeah. Oh, if it's anything like my oldest, we're in for a good time.
Yeah, exactly right.
And what about yourself?
Either way, just wear them down over time. Mate, for me, on the tools all weekend, pulling out the old veggie pack.
That's unlike
you know what it's like, running some bloody ag line, mate. And
no idea what that's like.
Yeah. Well, it was shit. Being in the sun in the Brisbane heat for 2 days in a row.
But you chose to do that.
Got a bit of work done, which is good.
You chose to do that, so your fault.
I'm not complaining. You asked me what I did.
You said it was shit.
Yeah, I'm providing assessment on it. I'm not complaining about it. You asked me what I did, and I provided how it felt.
Fair.
You are terrible. You are terrible at this, mate.
We're starting to crack.
What I will say though is that the beers taste so much better after a day on the tools. Again,
after a victory,
you don't know what that's like, but just believe me, they definitely do.
Yeah, been a while.
So that being said, it was good. Yeah, mate, good to get a bit of work done, but just good to watch a bit of footy and proper footy and yeah, mate, the Tigers. The Tigers' performance on Friday night, there's a lot to break into and talk about and break down, but we'll get to that pretty shortly.
Yep. Am I supposed to answer you here?
Oh, no. I don't know. I was just waiting for you to jump in, but
I'm sitting here going, that just sounded like just a finished statement.
You know what it is? It's most definitely end of preseason nerves. We're getting too excited for the year ahead. It's getting close. Yeah. I know we've still got 3 weeks to wait, but the cadence is all off. We've just got this jittery energy, and we just out of sync to start the show, but we're going to jump straight in.
2 weeks. It's almost 2 weeks. It's closer to 2 than 3.
To a little segment we like to call News from Tiger Town. Yes, of course, it's news from Tiger Town. It's all the major stories in the headlines involving our great club over the past week, and we try to catch what we can. Mate, we had Latu and Samuela come out over the past week and talk about their desire to continue playing together, the fact they love the club, and even a bit of a chat about Manasseh and how he's going, serving his time, and a desire possibly one day with the whole brotherhood of man, it seems, at the Tigers, to maybe bring him across. But did you happen to catch that one, mate?
I did. Apparently, when he got out, instead of going down and sitting dinner with the family, he took them all for a bit of a prison yard workout. Got them all working and training, and Sam's like, nah, I'm good. I'll do the other stuff instead.
Yeah, keep him fit.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting to see what happens there, but not of our concern for the moment.
Yeah, I was about to say, just quickly on that, would you entertain the idea?
Look, provided that the man's done his sentence and the NRL clears him specifically, it's a case by case basis. We saw that with Taylor. I'm never in the way, generally speaking, of someone paying their penance. And he is a prodigious talent, and his brothers are at the club. I think you'd be mad not to, depending on how he is and his desire for it. But the club seems pretty good these days at making sure that they do their due diligence on character. And
that's true.
Yeah, we are talking about somebody who made that mistake that he did. And if we're going to talk about character, I know that there is a lot of people, and fair enough, so that would put a line through a person like that, or somebody that would engage in that type of behaviour. Be that as it may, without opening a big can of worms. Provided the NRL are happy in that regard, and the coaching staff are happy with his application, then strictly as a free agent, I'd be more than interested.
Cool.
Yeah. Did that answer your question?
It did.
Okay, good. You're jumping in and out, so hopefully everybody can still hear you. In other news, there was a mention of Luai's insistence. Some senior players returned early to training all the way back last year, which was something that he sort of spread around amongst a few of the crew, and that was something that we saw come to fruition, which is handy. Kai Pearce-Paul makes some comments about Benji's vision around him joining the club, and the fact that Benji sort of laid down that rebuilding plan for a long period of time and was a big sort of draw card, I guess, for him, and just as well how he can fit into that side and fit into that vision, I guess, on that right-hand side for us. Mate, just on Kai Pearce-Paul, excuse me, bit disappointing we didn't get to see him on the weekend. Calf tightness, apparently, which, as a precaution heading into season proper, you do that every day of the week. Yep. I was pretty disappointed, pretty keen to see how that right side changes with him there.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was, you said it on the chat. You said it was like 50% of the reason you were keen for this game was to see how he'd go. And I echo that. But again, we don't take chances in preseason. It's not good business.
Yeah, that's it. And he'll get plenty of games in the jersey. Fingers crossed. We just have to sort of wait a couple of weeks or 3 weeks or so, 2.5 weeks until we get to see it proper. But exciting to have him at the club. Mate, Fanua Pole had a bit of a chat around his links to his brother Sully Pole, who's down in Melbourne, obviously, and him being a Melbourne local originally, one of the few genuine Victorian expats, I guess. And he spoke about his desire to play alongside his brother. It seems to be in the air at the moment. A lot of brotherly love going around everywhere.
Yep.
And in some ways, for me, I sort of read that as it's a bit of a fait accompli that at some point he'll
go down the Storm.
Probably desire to move back to Melbourne and probably see out his career. Sounded the way it read to me.
Yeah, I read between the lines as well.
And I wouldn't be overly concerned in the short to medium term. I mean, he did just extend last year, I think, for Noah. So he when that talk was around then too. So he obviously sees what Benji sees, and he's happy to stick around, and hopefully we can see some success with him there because I thought he played pretty well on the weekend. We'll get to that later.
Yep.
As I'm bouncing on through as well, there's a few other stories in and around here. We've got here that Maverick Geyer has opened negotiations with the Perth Bears.
No surprise there.
27. I don't think that surprises anybody. Obviously, his father's links to playing for the Western Reds back in the day.
Yep, and he only signed that 1 year deal. I think everyone saw the writing on the wall. So,
yeah, and that's sort of what he fits, I guess, in our squad this year. If he goes off, I'm sure that we'd probably go, do you want to think about sticking around if he's not signed elsewhere? But, it's one of those mutually beneficial stopgaps, I think, with him, sort of like, in some ways, Peasant to Eels for the year.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And just another little note as well, and I'm not sure how many picked up on this. I actually didn't see this one, but and I know you might mention one or two things yourself, but Joel Kane apparently has stepped away from his media roles due to mental health issues, taking a bit of time out. So obviously, a big, prolific early member of the joint venture and a pretty well loved, I think, old head around the traps there. So
Yep.
that's a bit disappointing to hear for his perspective, but hopefully he'll be back on the airwaves soon. I don't mind what Sugar brings, mate. I think he's got a pretty good eye for the game generally.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think I was lucky enough to meet Joel Kane once. Did a bit of work for Sportsbet back in the day. So, yeah, nice guy. Really hope he just probably needs a reset. And we all do it from time to time. So best of luck.
We most certainly do get there. Mate, in terms of what I got, I know there's always a few bits and pieces floating around as well, but that's my little segment on news from Tiger Town. Any stories you wanted to add there, mate?
There was the one that where they interviewed Talon about his struggles and things like that, and opened up actually pretty in depth about what he went through, and it really feels like he's just massively turned a corner. I think having Terrell at the club is super beneficial for him as well. So yeah, that was an interesting read. And then obviously the one that's been doing the rounds the last couple of days after the World Club Challenge is Tyrone was apparently approached by a club to play with his brothers. I think it's pretty stock standard. That would have been us. So it'll be interesting to see how that eventuates. I think he's contracted until the end of 2027. So they all come off contract at the same time. So it will be interesting to see how all that plays out.
That's true. And when he did extend, there was chatter around that back in the day anyway.
Yeah.
Whether or not he has a spot at our club or whatnot, but he's gone away and gone back over to the Super League and has been able to reinvent himself of sorts. I've got to be honest, I haven't watched any of Tyrone over there.
Nah, neither.
But he just led Hull KR to a World Cup Challenge win, so must be doing something right. We'll see if anything eventuates there, but that's it's a problem for another day. I think at the end of 27, all three of them come off, so that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah,
how that all transpires. But that's not our problem for the moment, thank God, because that'll fill some shows, I'm sure. The only other thing I did want to mention was the fact that there's been a little bit of scuttlebutt around that apparently the Tigers have changed their tune on their 2027 Vegas aspirations. So remains to be seen if we throw our hat in the ring. Obviously, classically under Richo, he was pretty vocally anti the idea, preferring to sort of get our house in order first, I think. And I agree with him, to be honest with you. So whichever way the club goes, it'll be interesting to see what transpires. We'll probably just get the round one bye again.
Yeah, that's it. Conspiracy theorists, namely my brother, has said that the reason that we got the round one bye this year was because Richo came out, was vocal against not doing Vegas. So,
yeah, I can't imagine he would have been the only one. Probably just the noisiest one.
He's pretty vocal.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was news from Tiger Town. Alrighty then, mate. We played a trial match on the weekend at Leichhardt Oval, the glorious Leichhardt Oval, on Friday the 20th of February. See you in 2.5 weeks, baby.
Absolutely.
26-12. The Tigers defeated the Panthers, 5-2. 10-12 or 12-10 to the Panthers at half-time. And for the majority of the match with the first teams respectively, it's got to be said. However, the Tigers played well, 58% of possession, dominated the time in possession, obviously. Completion rate up at 87%. Won all the stats by a country mile. All run meters up over 2,100, which is big numbers. You hit 2,000 in run meters, and they're big numbers. Post contact, 713. I haven't seen a number that big in a long time.
I think all of that was Marcy.
250, that was probably Marcy Marcassini's. 7 line breaks to 2. Now, funnily enough, the Panthers had 48 tackle breaks to our 47. So that might be a little bit reflected maybe in some of our ineffective tackles, but nevertheless, scramble obviously worked. Set distance, we won. Lost the play, the ball speed, not surprising. Penrith do a number very frustratingly in the ruck, and it's very frustrating to see it continue just to get sort of slid through. I think that they should be pinned a bit more than what they are, the old Penny Panthers. But anyway, as I sort of shift on down through some of our key stats we want to sort of pick up on, we forced 2 dropouts. Kick diffuser was average from both teams. Our effective tackle was quite down from probably what our expectations are, below 85%, which is a little disappointing, I must say. 48 missed tackles, 10 ineffective. And which is similar numbers missed and ineffective to the Panthers, except the Panthers made 120 extra tackles. So their tackle efficiency was right up. 20 errors for the Panthers, 9 for us. And I think I've missed offloads because I missed it again. It must be hiding somewhere cheeky. There we go. Offload 6-5. So we didn't really see the prolific offloading that we have seen, or we did see in trial 1, and we thought was a bit of a modus operandi for our team moving forward. However, it is the Panthers, mate, and they were relatively full strength. And I thought they actually played well. It was an intense game.
It was the first half, very much so. I was a bit disappointed with our attack in the 20. Now, was that more because of how good the Panthers' defense was on their goal line? I think that definitely played a part, but I think we still got a fair bit to go in terms of our structure. In terms of, I really thought Buller was a bit poor. I thought he probably just needed that to shake off the cobwebs more than anything. But it's definitely not the Buller I expect. So, yeah, it was frustrating to watch in the red zone, but I think we defended well as well. So, yeah.
You mentioned Buller. I think I've got to agree with you. I just think the timing wasn't quite there. The intensity didn't seem to be there. I don't know if his head was quite in it.
And that's concerning.
Which is disappointing because the rest of the side seemed to be up for it. But that's just what it looked like to me. It looked a half pace off.
That's what it did. Yeah, it really did.
Half metre out of position on those swings. The pass was half too high. The jump, even though it's a difficult jump with the opposition player running towards you, the leap is the leap. And Jerome Buller can leap with the best of them. Better than Alamotti, even though he's a good jumper. And it just didn't look like he positioned himself particularly well. You can also jump to very defensively in those types of situations, and I get it's first-grade football, and I get it's on the run. But you can, if you're stationary, you can jump and turn your hip into the player, provided you're on the ball. Jump and turn your body to sort of help sort of block the contact and get yourself in a better position. None of that was done. So that was disappointing because I think a lot of people are excited to see how Buller looks on the end of this back line.
Yeah.
And how he's going to chime in. We've heard, well, you've heard us and a few others prior, but you've heard everyone post talk about the lethality of our edges, particularly that left edge, and what it could be. We
saw that, didn't we?
Everyone. I mean everyone. I'm talking everyone from Denon Kemp and the boys over there to Willie and Justin Horrow on levels to James Graham on the buy round and his spastic opinion. Like, everyone is frothing on that left edge. And the thought of Buller chiming into it, mate, dead set. He's a numpty. Great bloke, love the way he played football, but some of his opinions are so fried. Bloody cooking egg on that head of his.
I mean, he's the first one to put his hand up and say he's most likely getting CTE, so that's fine.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's just, anyway, carrying on. Was keen to see Buller on the back of that. And, yeah, look, I was disappointed. And
yeah,
trial game's trial game. I was disappointed we didn't get to see Kai Pearce-Paul too. But there's lots to like, and we were going to get to that, so I'm glad we sort of got a little bit of a grumble out of the way. And look, this is no indictment on Buller at all. Some people, there's just he had a bit of an off day, and I've got no doubts that he'll sort that out pretty quick.
See, it's just me with the pessimist attitude, as I generally do. Someone's got to be the pessimist here. You're always the glass half full. I got to be the glass half empty. Otherwise,
mate, this is the only avenue in my whole life that I'm glass half full. Don't ruin it for me.
Yeah, but see, I've got to be your yin to your yang, my yin to your yang. It's got to happen, or else this is boring as batshit.
Fire
But my thought watching that was his head wasn't in the game because it's on something else. And we see it a lot when there's contracts drawn out and there's this and there's that and there's this. They're just not focused on playing footy. They're focused on the next. So, and that's not saying that I think he's going to leave or anything like that. I just think he, for his own sake, needs to get it sorted one way or the other. Just stop dragging it out.
If we're a month into the football season and come round 5, 6, he's still playing like I thought he played on the weekend, then I'll agree with you. Until that time, I'll have it as n equals 1 as a minuscule sample size, and we'll see how he looks round 2, 3, 4.
I never passed maths, so I don't know what that equaled.
What's that?
I never passed maths, so I don't know what that explained.
I don't know what you're explaining that you don't know.
I don't care. Don't go teaching me. I don't
even understand what you don't understand. Anyway, we're going to keep moving on. So we've spoken about Buller.
Yeah.
Did you want to make any sort of general comments about what you liked overall? We'll keep it very generic to start, and then we're going to zero in on a few players specifically.
I think what I liked overall was probably the fact that we stayed in the game the whole time. There was it didn't look like we lapsed. Like, you know how we go through those phases, perfect example is the Cowboys game we had at the back end of last year where we switched off and, we just weren't in the game the whole time. Didn't really look like that. It looked like, there was instances where I wasn't pleased with our shape. I wasn't pleased with our scramble defense or anything like that. But it's not, we didn't put our head down and we didn't let it get to us. The perfect example is that, who was it? Was it To'o? That shocking try to To'o that went over when we just didn't slide properly. And it just looked like we jammed again. And then nobody was wrapping around the back. We started doing that a little bit last year where we jam, but there was a method to it. We jam and then there'd be somebody to wrap around to cover just in case. Didn't really see that, but in that try instance, but we didn't let it get away from us. We were like, yeah, okay, that was shit. Let's reset. Let's go back to it. And then we kept doing that and stayed in the fight for a bit. And then come the second half, we just kind of ran away with it a little bit.
Yeah. So you're talking to the resilience, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. That first try was interesting. It was a good little series of passing by the Panthers. The ball out in front of Toa was pretty magical. I sort of blame the inside a bit more on that, sitting back on their heels. I think it was Dewey sitting on that left side, sitting back, and then
Romy on the left side.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying. I'm just looking. I was just thinking back to whoever it was on their heels.
Twal, Romy.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think who it was.
Hamasi.
I can't think. Might have been Twally. Either way, yeah, there was just a bit of miscommunication. Rome sort of pushed up, and that left us a bit flat, and then left us one out, and we can go bang wide over Harbour. So, yeah, but that's like Penrith, and that was well done for a trial match. So that try in particular, just because you mentioned it, I was keen to go back and watch that one, just as to where it broke down, because outside of that, the edges look relatively good defensively. I agree with you, mate. The biggest thing for me was the intensity. I think we played the game the way a professional football team, the way a contender plays football. And it was in a trial match. And if we play football like that for the season, we're going to win more than we lose. Undoubtedly. Yep. Hands down. I don't care. Absolutely. I don't care what edge roll looks like. I don't care who we play. For me, and when I say intensity, it's the common things that we all know. It's the contact. So that first up contact, the effort to put hits on, effort to win that contact, to hold momentum physically, as opposed to catching or losing that impact. It is obviously line speed and the role that plays. It's the ability with the ball to get over the advantage line. It's moving in numbers. It's kick chase. It's work out of marker specifically. And bilaterally, both sides. So making sure both markers work. Because we saw, I can't remember, I think it was Penrith that sort of once or twice they went right through left, and they got right in behind our markers because our second marker just drifted in behind rather than split. So just little things like that. The one thing that I reckon actually got better when, of all people, Charlie Murray came on the field was our ability to win to the ground. I always talk about like tackling having essentially three phases: the hit, the takedown, and the wrestle, and the ground part. We are a shit house, and it was on the weekend, or have traditionally been shit house at the takedown, the middle part. It's like we've been bad at the first contact too, but that was better on the weekend. What Penrith do really well, and it showed on the weekend big time, is they have good first up contact. It's probably not as good as it's been in the past with a couple of their bigger hitters, like Martin was out, Fisher Harris is at the Warriors these days. So that, like Liam Henry can hit, he's out. So their first up contact might be down a little bit, but their ability to hold the player up, get numbers in, and then control them to the ground is where they win the wrestle, I reckon. And I reckon it's a big reason that they don't get worlds of ruck penalties against them, because they've done the slowing on the way down instead of whilst they're on the ground. I think on the weekend we still, until Charlie Murray came on the field, who showed me he did it on a number of occasions really well. I thought that bloke's paying attention in wrestling class, because our first up contact was good, but unless we won the collision by sheer luck as to where the bodies ended up, we then weren't controlling to the ground, which means that the rucks were better, but Penrith was still getting on top, and it showed in the play the ball speed there. Did you catch any of that sort of stuff? Like, does that make sense? Or
it does, and actually it was a really good analysis of it, because never really thought about that in terms of, like, we have those conversations, you and I, about the wrestle and who does well and why it's effective, but never really considered the middle part, the takedown. We're always like, get them on their back, you make sure they don't find their front, etc. But that was actually really good analysis, because it made me think. I'm like, yeah, I understand now. Like, and especially Penrith and, a lot of these other, Melbourne, actually, if you think about it, Melbourne do a very similar thing where they control the ruck right at the top. And then the third man or fourth man comes in to hold them up and then bring them down, and then they peel.
Yeah. And they peel in a way that they peel at the right time. You can tell they've practiced it, so it's not 1, 2, 3, 4 really obvious. They'll go like 1, 2, and then they'll slowly sort of work their way up and pull the other player up. Like they do it clearly. They're slowing it down, and clearly it's a tactic to get more in. Like, they're like a magnet as well. You see, like, if they're close to a held call and there's a fourth nearby, the fourth doesn't go back and get in the line. The fourth will jump in, and then they'll allow the early tacklers to withdraw, and then they'll stay and hold for that moment. And it just buys them that little bit of extra time. It's like, I don't like that football. I don't know that anybody does. It's clearly an effective tactic, but there's not a whole lot you can really do about it other than just try to win the collision such that they don't have control of taking you to the ground, or get better at it yourself.
Well, that's it. I think it's just smart, to be honest. I mean, you play with the rules that are in front of you and manipulate them however you want, as long as you don't break them.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the types of players that don't do this very well, and this is not an indictment on them. It's just not the strength of their tackling technique. Someone like who?
Pole.
Yeah, Fanua Pole.
Yeah.
And the other one's going to say is Sione. So those two boys hit really well, but their player control to the ground is really poor in my opinion.
No, you mentioned this about Pole a couple of times.
Yeah, but players that do is like a Charlie Murray, Seyfarth of all people, at least attempts to. You can tell he's working it. Twally, big time. Yeah. He works the players really well. But unless everyone's doing it as a system, and I think, again, that's why Penrith's system is so effective, even outside like structures, just their wrestling tactics. They work as a system with that too.
I wonder if that's a Serraldo sort of special, and he's taken that over to the Bulldogs.
Yeah, he was defence coach at Penrith.
He was defence coach, yeah. No, he's defence.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and look, I might be off there. That's the way that I see it, and I think it's probably a fair It's a fair way to look at it, and I think it's a big contributing factor. It's not the only reason why, but I think it's a contributing factor as to why, even though our intensity was up, line speed, our hits were up, our play the ball speed was still slightly slower than theirs. I think that's the reason why.
Yep.
Anyway, that's not necessarily a criticism of us. It's just an area that we could improve again.
Yeah.
I started out by mentioning the intensity, and that was with both sides of the ball. And yeah, very, very impressed in that regard. They look like a footy side. Like I said, 7 minutes ago, they look like a contender. And
you started this whole tangent 7 minutes ago. It is true.
Yeah, but we are the Tangent Town podcast. That's what impressed me, mate. And it was almost to a man. To a man. Really pleasing to see it continue when the quote-unquote kids come on too.
It was, and that was it. Like, there's been all the reports that a lot of the senior players are leading from the front and not making any excuses and making sure that the young kids don't make any excuses and they just play. And you can kind of see that it's like, whether it's them or whether it's Benji or whether it's just the way that they've come through the grade, don't know. But it's probably a mixture of all three, to be honest. But yeah, it definitely was. There was no lack of intensity when the juniors came on in the second half. At times, I think there was probably more. I think there was some really quality players that actually came on and did their bit, and I was impressed by some of the fringe players. So, also actually, I was kind of impressed by Hopi when he came on. I thought he did a lot better in his second trial than he did in the first. It still annoys me how that quarter of a second it takes him sometimes to stand up and pass the ball. Still annoys me. But I think that was like this. It was the second week in a row he's managed to force an error by getting a great tackle underneath the ball. So, yeah.
Should probably talk about the elephant in the room.
Seyfarth?
Hamasi, Lomu, Folau, Crichton, Makasini.
You missed Inglis.
He starts on the left wing. I don't care who we sign. I don't care who's available.
No.
Yeah. Everyone's spoken about it. Everyone's seen it 1,000 times. Go and watch it again tonight, everyone. But trial match aside, the sheer magnitude of what that series of runs, but that particular try has done and did for him in terms of where he's at in his career and who he did it to and the side he did it to, the location he did it in. He put his name up in lights if he hadn't already, the kid, in the space of about an 8-second 40-meter dash.
Now, it's probably fair to say that in the scheme of fullbacks, Dylan Edwards is probably one of the best defensive fullbacks in the game. Puts his head in the right position every time, knows where to hit you, knows where to drag you, knows how to get you to flirt with the line to take you over. He is probably the only one better than him at the moment is Teddy. And he made him look like a school kid. He ran over him the way that an under 16 runs over an under 14. You know, the under 16s just had a really big growth spurt. The under 14s starting to go through puberty, but you got nothing on the kid that's got a bit of muscle now. And that was like, and like, you know, I know there's been comparisons to Folau and all that stuff, but I put it on the chat, and then funnily enough, all the media said it as well because they probably saw what I saw. But that was like watching John Alomu. That honestly was. The way that he hit with his hip, bounced him off. You watch old, like early 90s Lomu, and that was him. That's how he'd score try. He wasn't fancy. He was just a beast of a man.
You know who I reckon it was more like?
If you say Taniela.
Hey? No.
You say Taniela.
No, I reckon the first name that popped into my head, and you're not wrong with Lomu, you're not wrong with Tuiaki, you're not wrong when they say Radradra or Sivo. I thought Eric Groth Sr. You see the old footage of him flying down the wing for Parramatta?
I never watched a lot of him.
Hey?
I
Oh,
haven't
mate,
watched any
go,
really old
go
stuff of
and
him.
go and watch it. It was the first
Oh,
name that
really?
popped in my head. Yeah, just
Yeah, but your old man's a bloody Parramatta supporter, so of
the
course you
fend
like.
and the bump, mate. The fend and the bump. Anyway, that aside, look, we've been sort of tempering our talk about Marcy for a while because for a number of reasons. We're nothing as a club, if not prone for pumping up the tyres of our juniors before things have happened,
They're
and
ready.
we all sort of
Yep.
knew the quality that we're sitting on, trial or no trial. We know what the kid's got, and we know what he's going to bring us. And exciting is an understatement, but like it can't be understated his pre-season performance overall, and you know, fair judges have. I've actually heard both Skelton's name, obviously, he's the incumbent, basically, and even Luke Lealali'i has had a stormer of an off-season, apparently, being right up there in terms of taking that position. Apparently, it was right up for grabs. I still think it would have been Skelton by default. But what Musty's done, in the off-season, he can't not be picked.
No, and
Like, he
he
was on
can't.
both of our extended benches as a good way to sort of ease him in. Mate, you can't not pick him.
No, but that's it. He can't be on the extended bench. That's in my eyes. That's a waste. But I'm going again, and I'm probably bucking the trend here. He's my left center. Taylor May's my right. I thought Toa was poor. I thought that there was instances, especially in defense, where he was just caught out. So for me, he did. I like. Yes, he's the incumbent, but all the strapping on his elbow as well. He's not 100%. You know.
I see your point. I watched it 3 times, 2.5 times. I watched Tower specifically in one of the rewatches. I'm not the only one. Don't worry about that.
Sure.
But for me, I think he made one key defensive error that I remember. But outside of that, I actually thought he defended relatively well. I don't think he got much decent ball at all, and I think that was partly due to the fact that Dewey had a couple of runs, and that's no indictment on Dewey. He played well. Buller wasn't quite working on that right-hand swing. The right-hand side, understandably, didn't see a lot of ball, and I actually think that's going to be the biggest issue on the right. As much as we're talking up KPP, if that left edge keeps doing what that left edge is doing, which it is, it's fucking deadly. Like, they're going to go over there 2-1 minimum, mate. Like, minimum. So, what do you do on the right? I don't mess with it. For me, yeah, I understand what you're saying with Toa. I thought he was okay. And Alamoti's a handful, and he was on. And I thought I was looking for his contact. Because when people are injured, when Stafford's injured in particular, his first up contact, he tries to catch him, which is understandable. He wasn't. He was whacking blokes, and he was making up for the odd little mistake that he missed, stats or not. So I'm happy to let that through to the keeper. I know you're not. I know that you're critical of him, and fair enough too. I think it's a make or break season for him, and I don't.
Yeah, I'm critical of him just for the sheer fact that right now he's clearly not 100%, and I
was satisfied.
Yeah, see, I'm done with being the nice guy. If you're not 100%, you're not performing. Like, there's someone there that's going to take your spot.
I don't think he underperformed, but we saw that differently. Did you see the fend he put on though? Still strong enough to throw.
Where he threw him off. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
still a strong bugger. Anyway, we'll see how he sort of starts. I've got the team list in front of me. You pull it up at your discretion too. We're just going to go and pop off with a few performances. We keep talking about Hamasi Makasini all night. We're not going to. We're not going to do that. I dare say over the course of the year, we're probably going to accrue several more minutes somewhere along the way. So we'll leave it be for the time being. I'll let you all have your own lucid dreams about him. What a champion. I'm going to go first. Bunty R4. He's my starting prop.
Yep. I've got no qualms with that.
In the space of one game, and sorry, I know a bit kick-off, but just off the back of mentioning what I said, in the space of one game and based on everything we've heard, he showed he can do the minutes. He showed he doesn't drop off in work rate. Defensive, he only ran 98 or so metres, but they're impactful metres. But defensively, he tackled it nearly 96%. I can't remember the minutes that he played, but he was on there for a long time. They don't track minutes on the trials, but I thought he would have played upwards of 50-plus minutes.
Yeah, I think he came off just before half-time, then went back on for another stint.
And he went back on, exactly right, at the back end of the game. So
And what that tells me too is they're getting miles in his legs ready for the start of the season.
Good point. I mean, why not start Polo? I like him there. You know what it made me feel like? It made me feel like we had an old hard forward leader in there. Like Moses Leota and James Fisher-Harris are obviously slightly more decorated players than Bunty. Fair play. Yep. But if he can rise to, roughly in what they regularly put out, not their best football, because they're probably moving a bit on, but just in terms of what they bring to their sides, like you've got Mitch Barnett at the Warriors, but James Fisher-Harris is that pack leader.
Not for long.
Hey?
Mitch Barnett at the Warriors, not for long.
Yeah, not for long. And I just think having Bunty in there is that physical presence to help assist Terrell that we don't quite yet have in Fanua. And as much as I love what Fanua brings, and even Sione, they're similar in some ways, and they don't bring that physical presence. They can hit, and they have footwork and that sort of stuff, but there's not a whole lot of intimidation factor that comes with it. There's not a lot of alpha dog energy, and even things like leading line speed. Mate, he was the first person up, I reckon, every second tackle that he was on the field. It's just all that little stuff, that intensity leader right in the middle of the park with an old, big meat axe of a bloke that is not going to take a backward step. He's not something we've had in prop for a long, long time.
No, he's not. I think, I 100% mirror that. I thought that I was keen to see how he'd go. Because, like you said, all the talk in the off-season was he was killing it, dropped 8 kilos, was leading almost everything when it came to the forwards. So I was pretty keen to see how that was going to transfer. He exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
By far. He has usurped Pole for me. Pole comes off the bench now.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because does that keep Sione in the 19? I'd probably say so because he can cover more than just prop.
Well, at the end of this, we're going to run through where we sort of sit now. Now that we've seen a bit of action and stuff, and we'll probably run through our starting 19 come round 2. And that will probably change over the next couple of weeks. But, yeah, mate, not only did he do himself no favours, I think he just showed exactly what we've been missing in a lot of ways. And he did that with 12 by his side. But if he's got the likes of a Terrell in there to take probably most of the workload away, to be honest, that makes an interesting proposition. You know what it is? It's a more boring starting forward pack, starting prop rotation. But I think that having Pole off the bench is just where he works at the moment. He comes on fresh, quick feet, high impact, like he did on the weekend, and he was a handful, man. Like that's what we want him to do. And you throw a him and you throw a Royce, and depending on how the game goes, maybe you got Sione coming on at one point there, or you throw a little Heath Mason, Latu Fainu, Tristan Hope in through the middle. Like I like the idea from a number of reasons of keeping Pole on that bench, given what we saw from Bunty on the weekend. Massive caveat that, again, can he do it in the season proper, and how long can he do it for?
Yeah.
But Penrith were on, and he went toe-to-toe.
And Penrith were pretty much full strength.
Yep.
So
righto. That was me. That's who I was kicking off with. Who's your first that you're going to sort of put up in lights in terms of their name?
Trying to think. I didn't know I was going to do this. Come on, mate. I actually think for me, regardless of what I said about their red zones and all that jazz, I actually really liked what I saw from Dewey at halfback.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he really, we know he's vocal. We know he likes to command the ball. I thought his kicks were pretty good. I will say finding the grass, Jock definitely did a better job in the first game. But first game too, we were playing against, the under-18s Roosters. So probably easier to find the grass against those rookies.
The under-18s. Give him some credit. Just on that point, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's what I was going to say. I think Dewey's got Dewey has a far longer kicking game. I think Jock's got a more accurate kicking game. Yeah. And it's like some days the longer works and some days the more accurate works. And if Dewey can find grass, because early in the game I don't think he was effectively, and then as his stint wore on, he started to find grass a bit more. And if Dewey finds the grass, he wins that kicking battle. He offers a lot more in a halfback position, I agree. I'm sure you'll carry on with that. But just on that note, that's what I sort of noticed as well. Jockey's quite good at finding space with his kicks, and I think that is pretty damn valuable. So Dewey does need to work on making sure that it's not always the big boot. Sometimes it's that placement, which he has in him. He's still learning to, I guess, take the right kick option at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing too. Like, Dewey's obviously a lot more confident to take the line on as well. Perfect examples. He set up that try for Buller with the wraparound, but I thought he controlled it well, and I thought it gave Luai the opportunity to do his dance, get his. I mean, he stepped around clear. He set up that try for Macassini. So I like that was because you took Bunty, I'll take AD, but yeah, that's what kind of impressed me. I said it before too. Hopey, I thought made quite a bit of an impact when he came on as well. So it's right now, I think we've got something that we haven't had in God knows how long, and that's depth. And that's depth fighting for a spot. It's not like just making up the numbers. They clearly want to get a spot on that 19, because think about it too. 19, there's a lot more options now in terms of, or a lot more. Well, clearly there's a lot more people on a bench that you can sit there.
Mm.
So the opportunity of making that 19 or making the starting squad is a lot greater than it used to be. So people are now lifting their game. They're like, okay, well, shit, I can get it on the 19 because we don't know how the game will swing. We might need another halfback. Everyone needs to bring their A game no matter what they're playing. So that's really, really good to see.
Yeah, it is. And almost across the board, everybody played well, all the way down to those juniors and all the way down to Brodelo in 29. Scored himself a try.
Yeah.
Mate, I mentioned before Charlie Murray.
Great pickup too, by the way.
What's that?
Great pickup by Brodelo to score that try.
And Mason.
Yeah, Mason was good too.
Both off the boot of Javon Andrews. I mentioned Charlie Murray earlier. Now, we've been pretty scathing's not the right word, but with due respect, underwhelmed by what we saw out of him last year. And I got to say, he wasn't even on the radar. I think I used something along the lines of, look, if we're playing Charlie Murray too many games this year, we're going to have some pretty big issues.
You did say those exact words.
He's had an excellent couple of trial matches and has brought a variety of dimensions to his game that we don't really have in another squad member, and he's unique. His carries are unique. His tackling style is unique. I mentioned earlier that he's got quite good wrestle control, especially within our squad. You made good point of the fact that in the first trial in particular, he popped the offload out a few times, and that led to quite a bit of second phase play, which is a decent little sort of arrow to have in his quiver. And he plays a bit of hooker. He can, you can shove him on an edge that he probably wouldn't want to. He's a workman, tradesman-like player, but he's one that with the game in many ways prioritising a lot of that heavy momentum, quick ruck speed, control being the main aim of the game, big momentum captures. The sort of small forward has sort of come back into the game in a lot of ways, and if he continues to play like that, I'm sure that there's a role that he can serve on that extended bench.
Absolutely, I think that's going to be the thing that I think is going to be one of the biggest headaches for us on that bench is we need somebody that can cover a few spots. Not just, we're probably both set until maybe Latu's fit that Jock's going to be that backup in terms of if a half drops down. But you think about the amount of I guess positions that Murray can actually, it's clear that he can basically lock the scrum anywhere. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, as I mentioned last week in the last game, his offload was just, and it wasn't as if it was sort of reckless either. His offloads, they were very calculated.
Mm.
When you watch him, like I watched that game back, obviously after we won, I don't like watching them back when we don't. He looks before he throws, where you get some guys just expect them to be there, and then he finds a way to wriggle out. So you're talking about his wrestle in the defensive line. That upper body strength is translated when he's got the ball as well. So
that's a good point. Yeah, and offloading is an interesting, it's an interesting skill set to have. Everyone can offload, but like you're alluding to, in some ways, like the magic of the offload is the timing of it, right? And
the
opportunities or the offloads you don't throw, as to whether it makes you a good offloader in some ways. We've all thrown bad offloads.
Mine have always. I
remember one playing against side up here in Brisbane, Sanford. I don't know if you remember that game. I remember throwing one whilst getting tackled and driven backwards, popped it out, and that worked out really good. They ran downfield and scored. So we're all.
I don't remember that.
Put myself on blast. We're all prone to it. So no, mate, he's been quite good. I want to jump in and mention big old captain. He's looking very sharp this year. You mentioned the footwork on Cleary. That was gorgeous. Serve it up on a platter for me, hang it in the Louvre. That was amazing. But I think if you think back to sort of when we started to talk about Taylor being on board, and I was talking about the possibilities of what that left side could look like heading into the back end of last year, and now we're starting to see. Now we've tacked Makasini on the end, who, as far as I'm concerned, is on the scene a little bit earlier than I thought. We knew he had it, but I didn't think it'd be this quick. He is just going to, as the puppet master out there, he's just going to reap the benefits of that side. And I think I made a call before the season. He's going to double his price up to 24. Yeah. I know he didn't have a heap the other night because Javon sort of came in and cleaned up late with a few late wickets, but you can see it, can't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's a lot of gelling that needs to go on out there, but when it does, shit, that's just a dangerous left side, isn't it?
Oh, everyone,
and the one person that we've really forgotten out there is the one that we love in Sammy.
That's what I was about to say.
Think about the lines that Sammy is going to run off all of this happening.
Yeah.
You know, you think about, we always talk about when it comes to these sort of plays, it's not the first, it's not the second, it's not the third time you try it. It's the fourth time when you have that, sleight of hand, and then the pass comes through, and it's your back rower running that, that A line straight through. That's another thing that we're probably going to see is the increase of line breaks from a Sam perspective. I reckon he's going to break through the line. You say double try assist for Lua. I'm going to say double line breaks for Sam.
Even tries.
Easy. Yeah, so
he himself might be the beneficiary of a few, and then you start getting Buller getting his timing right, which we're going to assume is just a matter of time. We're hoping that's the case.
Yeah,
he starts getting his timing right on those sweeps, and good fucking luck to stopping that. Like, everyone's a multiple threat. Luai can step, straighten, and go. He can throw short. He can throw long. He can kick in behind. Sam Weller can run short and tight in, like you're talking about, back at A. He can drift out wide. He can pop late, which he did to May to set up Makasini's try on the weekend. He can kick, which he did, and nearly scored a try himself.
Yeah, forgot about that.
We haven't even gotten to May, Buller, or fucking Makasini. We've just laid out 7 ways we could score or make a line break. Like, it's
in all honesty, right now,
I'm very, very excited about.
Who needs Viagra? Just talk about the left-hand side of the West Tigers.
Correct. And what's exciting is we've seen it play out against a good team who Penrith played well on the weekend. I don't care what anyone says. Penrith showed up to play. They played well. They played hard. They played good footy. They defended outstandingly. So, against a side that weren't on, or a side that were trially, like the Sharks played half a Canberra side and pumped them 50-something to whatever. We would have done the same thing against that same side. We were good. Anyway, That was Luai. I'm excited to see what that looks like. You mentioned Sam Weller. I'm glad you did. I think he's going to be one of those people that is just the quiet achiever. Everything he does is excellent, and he's going to continue to be a key cog on that side. And I reckon we're not going to know, or a lot of people aren't going to know how valuable he is on that left side until at some point he'll miss some football. They all do at some point, and then we're going to realise how integral he is.
I'm going for a bold prediction too. The reason he's going to miss some football, he is going to make the 19 Origin.
Oh, that'd be nice.
He might not make the. You would like to think that Origin's going to have a 19-man squad as well.
Yeah, true. That's a pretty.
So
bold
he will
prediction.
make that 19.
It's a pretty bold prediction. I like that. What about Massey for the extended squad?
I think Massey will make the under 20s. Yeah.
Why bother? He just ran over the Australian fullback. All right. So going on down the list, pull out a couple of other good little performances. Javon, I think in the short time he laid on 3 little try assists. Again, he continues to show why. Sorry about that, folks. We're a couple of little microphone issues, but we are back. Toby is ensuring that he's going to edit that malarkey straight out of it, and he assures me that that's the case, and God, I hope he's right, because there are a couple of frustrating words being said. We're on Javon Andrews. I love his work, mate. I think that he's going to be quite good down there in Reggie's this year, and if called upon, it might be a situation. You know, you were talking about Jock on the 19 before, and I think we're all pretty much in agreement. You've got to carry a half, or at least someone capable of playing a half. That is clearly Latu when he's good to go, because he's so versatile, and he is. When he's Latu, we know what we're hoping he's going to be. Javon Andrews, mate, as an option. A possible bit of versatility there. Maybe not just yet. He's big enough that he could grow into some lock. He could certainly play in the halves. I've heard people talk about fullback. I don't know what his fullback play is like. Possibly some versatility in lieu of maybe a Jock. I don't know how he would play at dummy half, though. But, you know, if you've got a Jerome or a Dewey go down, either of those two can play halfback or 5'8". So the advantage to that is you can carry a halfback on your bench, or you could actually carry a 5'8" on the bench, knowing that both AD, who is already playing halfback, or Romy, who played halfback last year and has in the past, can slot into that half if the 5'8" was the only half that you carried. Does that follow?
Yeah, it does. And I agree. I mean, it was the same thing that I said about Dewey last year about him turning into a lock. I see that a lot with Andrews. And you know, I agree that every time he got on the field, they were kind of going downhill in terms of running downhill. You know, wind at our back, fatigue, defensive line, staggered defensive line.
Yeah.
But excited to see what he can do. And like I said, like for the first time in God knows how long, I'm pretty confident I'll be watching I'm going to get that New South Wales Cup subscription and watch some Reggie games, because I think that the Reggie team is going to be quite good this year.
At the very least, we've got a side that it's tricky to pick. And it's not only tricky to pick 17, it's tricky to pick 19, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. And that's a problem we have not had forever in almost any position. And we've got it almost across the park. If you go down through that side, most of that starting 13 are a lock in. But you start getting onto the bench, you look at lock specifically, you even look at starting prop, and you look at right centre. Those are all up for debate, but it's up for debate not because you don't back the person that's in necessarily, but it's up for debate because there's multiple people putting up their hands. When was the last time a West Tigers squad has been able to say that?
Yeah, it's true. It's true, and that's it. I can't add to that because it's true. This is a squad now that it feels like, you know, we think about the Penriths and things like that. If someone goes down, there is a ready-made replacement ready to go. They know what they need to do. They know what they need to fit into. We kind of feel like we have that now, which is, like you said, I don't think I can remember ever having that. Even in, like, you know, when we were somewhat dominant in the 2010-2011 seasons, you know, both finished top 4 both years, and, you know, looked like all the things. we just had a great starting 17. But if people filled gaps, people went down. There was not a lot of people that could have filled that gaps. Like we had.
Well, those 3 years that we went well, which is embarrassing to say out loud, we had good runs with injuries all 3 years.
Yeah.
And the better teams don't need that in order to be successful, I guess. So depth is essential. Richo said it the day he walked in the place and done a pretty good job so far. We'll see how it plays out, but certainly on paper, we're looking good from that front, mate. Let's paint ourselves a 19 really quick with everything, how it stands. I think in the last 3 weeks, I've changed my starting prop position from Sione to Polay to Twally and now to Bunty. So things will change galore in the next 2.5 weeks. Dream Bull is the fullback, no doubt, and Marcy's on that left wing. Yes?
I'm still having him at left centre, but that's not what I think's going to happen. Yes, I think he'll go left wing.
Yeah. Taylor May left centre, Stafford Tower right centre. Basically how we lined up there. Tito's on the right. Luo at 5/8, Dewey at 7. Your starting prop. Now, I've got Bunty in there after the weekend.
Yeah, so do I.
He's happy to start the season, providing Terrell's fit. I guess if he's not fit, he's probably definitely there. But you?
Yeah. I'm the same starting front row.
I'm not normally this whimsical, but it's more leading to I wanted to know on the weekend if everything I'd heard about Bunty's performance over the off-season was true. Fucking oath. So, yeah, to me, he starts the season there. We spoke about it before. Appy's a starting 9. Obviously, Terrell's our other prop.
If he's fit, yeah.
Yep, provided he's fit, bit of back tightness, but should be right.
If that's, I've only ever heard that from NRL physio, so I don't know if that's actually the case because nothing's come out from the club.
Not official. There was a few things confirmed. I can't remember, but I'm pretty certain that's what it was. We've then got Samuela. So we've got Samuela, Kai Pearce-Paul, and Twally to lock. Yes. All right, here's where it gets interesting. Latu probably out for the first 4 to 5 weeks, apparently. I'm still not buying it. I don't think he's available, but I think it's going to be earlier than that. Round 2 or 3 is my pick. 3-4 is my pick. So who's your 14, mate? Are you putting Jock there?
Yeah.
Yep. I think I have to agree. You're going to need someone to cover halves, and you're going to need someone to take minutes off Appy, whether Appy wants to go off or not. And Hayward's not there yet, and he's also, as much as he played half, he's also a specialist hooker these days, and so I think he's probably the option there. First forward picked?
Royce.
You have to say that again because Mike didn't pick it up. Hopefully it's just my speaker and not your
I think
mic,
it's just your speaker. It's fine. Royce.
You're good at externalising. Okay, so without a game, you're picking Royce before you're picking Polay and Seyfarth and the likes?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, okay. I've got Polay in there, and I'm going to then run into Seyfarth. I think we have those two back-to-back is the best bet.
I don't have Seyfarth in my 19.
Okay, he drops out.
Yep.
I think that his versatility is what gets him there, and the fact that he's an effortful player. I think that these days, I touch wood when I'm saying this, I think his little effort areas are a little bit better than Sione, and I almost worry that Sione might slide out the back door in my extended, but I'll see how it plays out. I haven't done the numbers. We're doing this live in front of everyone. Okay. So
I've got Polay in there as well. Polay's in there with...
Yeah, so you've got
Royce.
Jock, Royce and Polay. I've got Jock, Seyfarth and Polay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll probably throw Royce in then.
Yep.
As my other, not that the order really matters. So that's my 17. Who rounds out your 17?
Charlie Murray.
Charlie Murray, yep. And then I've got Luke Laulili in 18, Can play just about anywhere in the back line. He's a no-brainer for me. Good coverage.
I've got Skelton because he can also play in the forwards if need be.
I think I've said this for a long time. If he's usurped full-time, I'd look at him as a back rower I dead set reckon he has back rower vibes. If he can get through the work rate and he can show that he can tackle, I know he can tackle. If he can tackle effectively and efficiently, put him in the back row. I think he'd be great. Oh, mate, it's bloody tricky. I'll tell you why. Because as much as I'm talking up Charlie Murray, if we're talking him up for his performance in the middle, I'm not talking him up for his versatility. And the reason being is if I'm replacing Appy, I'm probably going to do it via Jock. I just think you're getting more out of hooker, out of Jock. And defensively, he's going to be relatively comparable for short minutes. And I think having extra playmaker is going to be more valuable than a forward to just dish the ball. And so the hooker, I see the hooker utility value of him. On an edge, he's probably, to be honest, below Seyfarth, definitely in the pecking order. Sione did some time there last year. He's probably below Sione, even though I don't know if he's in my side. And so I don't know whether the edge is the versatility there. So then we're just going back to what he showed as a middle, which is good impact, good wrestle, bit of offloads. If he's bringing that, 100%, he looked great doing that. But if he's a versatility pick, I think we actually cover the same versatility elsewhere in other ways. I get the argument, and I know that he's done a good job. I was just thinking about it on the weekend, and I've been a big proponent of him post that Panthers game. I really have. But now, as I sort of paint out my 19, I don't know if he's there or not. That's my thinking around it, because Sione probably becomes my 19. So then I've got Jock, Pole, Seyfarth, Royce, Luke Laulea and Sione, with Charlie probably at 20. I'm always probably going to pick a bit more impact, and I think it was just more the fact that his versatility, whilst a strength, is covered elsewhere slightly better in that 19. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. What about you? What rounds out your 18, 19?
Sione. So I've got, because I had Skelton and Sione. So It's Madden, Royce, Pole, Charlie, Skelton, Sione.
Who's unlucky, do you think, there in your list?
Probably Seyfarth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. We know his work rate's great, but
yeah,
he's back to being a fringe for me.
I thought Tony Sukar's been really good, and I've been a big proponent of him being in the middle. I actually think he should be having a go at playing some middle down in New South Wales Cup. I know that our back row stocks aren't huge, so probably not the greatest idea, Zach, but I do think he has middle capacity, so I think he's a bit unlucky. But probably belongs there for the moment. Maverick Guy, I thought was handy on the weekend, other than that penalty or the 6 again he gave away, but he was busy. He's probably unlucky as well.
Yeah, and there's no one else that really stood out in terms of kicking down the door. I think you were right about Mason last week, and the fact that Mason's just always, he's one step back from doing something great, but it's or breaking the line or whatever it is, but he can't find that next step. And I keep seeing that.
It's hard to unsee, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Like he's it's like when he should step left, he steps right, because if he steps left, he breaks through the line because if he's quick and he's agile and all this jazz, but he just makes the slightest wrong move or one step behind, or it's frustrating. Because
sometimes it can be a rut. Like sometimes you can get stuck in that too. Like I remember Joey Johns talking about being ruts and talking about that very thing. Passes wouldn't stick. He'd constantly take wrong options. He'd step into defenders. Like, so maybe it's just that. But, yeah, because he looks the part. He's sharp. He's quick. He's nifty. He's got good skills. I think he defends out of his weight class. I know that he misses the odd tackle and stuff and sometimes decision-making, but I think he does good for a bloke his size. I think he's a great footballer. I just think that at the moment, all the options that he takes just don't tend to come off, and I think he just needs a bit of luck and needs to find a bit of form.
Exactly. Yep.
Mate, that's probably us for this show. It's been a pretty good off-season in some ways. I've enjoyed watching a bit of Tigers footy. I think there's a lot to like there. I know that there's a lot to like. 2 wins helps. Wins don't matter, but obviously they do feel nice. But I'm just really pleased that our next wave and that depth appears to be there. There was a lot of concern about depth from a lot of people inside and outside of the club, talking about our squad heading into this year. And in a space of a couple of trial matches, just simply through good individual performances and as a crew, they've sort of quelled those thoughts to some degree at least, and has people thinking positively for the likes of our New South Wales Cup side.
Yeah, and that's what I mentioned before. I think I'm definitely going to start watching a bit of Reggie's this year, or more than I did. I watched a few games last year, but mainly to see Makasini more than anything. But I think we're going to have a pretty competitive New South Wales Cup side because, again, like you said, that's what Richo said. He said you can't have a good first grade side if you don't have a good New South Wales Cup side because there's nobody kicking down the door to make the first grade side better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, exactly. And there is a few players kicking down the door. It's going to be good. Good to see how they line up.
Absolutely.
Mate, anything you want to mention either about that or elsewise before we wrap up the show?
Nah, I think we'll skip the weekly roundup this week because we're a bit long in the tooth.
Yeah.
Maybe catch up on that next week, but because next week we're probably going to have more of a filler episode more than anything. We'll do Are we on to the forwards or the backs for?
I think we've still got backs. So part 3 of our state of the squad is
next
rounded
week.
up. Yep, and because we've got a couple of week hiatus, it fits in well there. So we're hoping, ladies and gents, to get that out to you next week, and we might do a couple of pathways sort of roundups. Not the best weekend from the pathways this weekend just gone, but we'll
don't think we won one. I think the only
run
one
through that stuff next week.
Tasha Gale, that was it.
Yeah, on the weekend.
I think so.
Paul. The one, yeah.
Yeah.
Mate, rightio. Well, on that note, as we always say, all West Tigers media is good media in our eyes. The West Tigers Life podcast, the West Tigers Faithful podcast, the West Tigers podcast. Ambush on Facebook, westtigersforum.com. And little note, they've changed their name again. So over at West Tigers Life podcast, plugs aside, I'll keep it quick. They're rebranded as West Tigers TV, and that includes them and the Claws Out podcast and a few other shows they're doing as well. Get on over and follow that new little venture for them. Makes life easier for me because I can just say one thing instead of multiple things every single week. I love anyone that puts out West Tigers media. Fucking good on you. Thanks to our sponsor, Best On Ground Digital. Best On Ground Digital. You'll score in the corner with Best On Ground Digital.
Hey, that was good. I enjoyed that.
I thought you'd like that. Mate, that's about it. We've got to wait a little while, but the good news is next time the West Tigers play, they'll be playing in front of us, loud, obnoxious, and me and our friends, slightly boozy, on the hill at Leichhardt. Looking forward to it. Mate, we've got to get some retribution back over the Cows after we flew all the way down there and got robbed last year, so we're on.
Yep. Absolutely.
You're not looking forward to that at all, though, are you?
Not at all. Not, ants in the pants, dancing, getting ready to get on a flight and spend a weekend in Tiger Country.
Looking forward to it. See yous all on the hill in 2.5 weeks. Nothing more to say than go the mighty West Tigers.
Up the West Tigers.